Well, good afternoon, you wonderful lot. Uh, Welcome to the second episode of the Creator Network podcast, videocast, whatever you want to kind of call it. Today, our topic is all about page builders, and I'm going to do the same as I've always done, which is introduce the other people that are on this week's live stream. So we've got Jeffrey and we've got Mark in. So for anybody that may not know these handsome beasts, Mark, who are you and how can people find out more about what you do?
I don't. My name is Mark Crowell. Me and my wife, we run Wiki Design. We're located in the Philadelphia area, if nobody really knows where we're at. But we create YouTube videos as well, and lots of like Croco-Block videos and stuff like that. But yeah, we run an agency right here outside of Philadelphia.
Sweet. And Jeffrey.
Cool. What's going on? I'm Jeffrey at Lightbox. I am an obsessed designer, and you can find me at Lightbox Academy. Just Google it. I'm all over the place. I made it easy to find.
Good man, good man. Well, today, like I say, the topic we've settled upon, or at least part of the topic today, is going to be about page builders, the future of page builders, where we see them going, those kinds of things. And as always, we would love to get your feedback as well and get your questions in. So if you've got anything you want to ask during the live stream, please put a hashtag Q for question or hashtag question. It's up to you. Makes it a little bit easier to find out what you want to know, and then we can kind of go from this. If you've got a question, hashtag Q. But the future of page builders with WordPress, what are we thinking, guys? What do we think is the imminent future with the push of full-site editing and Gutenberg and all those kinds of things? Where are we going? In the next 12 months, where do we see this? Huh? Where are we thinking?
Man, if I was good at reading the future, I would have bought Bitcoin a long time ago. But I miss a lot of opportunities, so I don't know if I could really call the future, but I think we're in an interesting place, though. Let me just keep getting, let me hear some more of what you guys got. And it's late night here, so I'm probably going to put my foot in my mouth a lot, just a trigger warning, so just going to let it out, all right?
Join the club.
I think personally we've kind of peaked. I think it's almost like cell phones. I think we're pretty much at the cap. I don't think there's going to be any other big page builders that come on the market anytime soon to overtake Elementor, Bricks, FSC, if you want to call that a page builder. But yeah, I think that's it. I think we're pretty much at the cap. That's my opinion. Could be wrong, of course, but.
Do you think this like, obviously there are new page builders and things coming out in various different formats. You've got your typical sort of full site editing orientated builders. You've got your sort of builders that sit on top, like your Bricks builder, Elementor, and so on. Do you kind of see that there's just no market for anything new, that it's all been kind of done? Because, I mean, you do see new ones coming out on a semi-regular basis. Do you think there's room in the market for more? Do you think there's something that there's a gap that's being underserved or not served at all, or it's just literally saturated to the point of being pointless?
Yeah, I think it's done, in my opinion, yeah.
I don't think it is. Yeah, no, I don't think it is because, I've been around long enough to know that the big dogs sometimes fall and new dogs come up. Mm-hmm. Businesses are ran different ways. Things happen. Building a page builder is really difficult. I mean, just look what happened to Quickly. It's a difficult thing to really pull off. Hats off to Thomas for pulling it off. But that took years to get to that point. But in a couple of years, things could really change. And see, what I've been keeping my eye on a lot lately has just been the no-code software in general, like Framer, Bubble. There's a lot of it, I feel like the future right now is the no code. We're going to see AI come in where right now it's not really doing much, but I think it's going to be interesting in a few years from now.
Yeah, I think looking outside the WordPress ecosystem, like you say, to like Framer, to things like that, Webflow and things, I think there's a lot more innovation happening there, probably because it's a closed architecture. But without that innovation, I don't know. I think it kind of makes you look, when you look outside WordPress and you see what's going on and how those things are moving forward. You take a look at something like Webflow, the animation tools in there. You take a look at Framer, and if you're a designer coming into that, does it give the same quality of code as something like Bricks? But then probably not. But if you're going to be a purist about these kinds of things, you probably hand code things anyway. Do you know what I mean? If you want to be a complete purist.
Yeah.
But I think that's where the innovation is.
I personally think that even if there is like a new page builder that's as powerful as like, you know, like a Webflow where you could do a lot of cool like animations and design stuff, that's great. But if you suck at design, your websites are still going to suck, you know, and if you don't understand like the limits of browsers and servers, this is something that not a lot of people talk about, you know, with these like no design or no code systems, is you got to know the limitations of like how things work on a website. And you don't just, that comes with like years of experience, you know, so I don't know. I think maybe there could be some sort of page builder that would be like a framer, or like I always say like Webflow, because I always wanted to get my hands on Webflow, but I hated how it's a closed system and the way it works with like the limitations on how many users you can have per month and all of that. Like that's very bizarre to me, having weird limits like that on a website, you know.
I think because you're comfortable. I mean, probably all of us are comfortable here with dealing with servers, dealing with, you know, DNS and things like that. So you kind of feel comfortable in that.
Yeah.
But I would say that probably we're probably in the minority, because if you can consider how WordPress is so prevalent, I can imagine of that 40+%, only a tiny portion of the people that actually build their own sites, as opposed to go through an agency or a freelance kind of thing, would be remotely comfortable with handling things like even talking about, you know, a server setup and DNS. It's like, what the hell does all that mean? And it probably would scare the living bejesus out of people. Whereas a closed setup like Webflow, like Wix Studio, you know, Squarespace, for the downsides they get in people like our eyes, because we're kind of, how can you say, we'll say we're more purists, should we say, to be polite about it. You look down on those kinds of things, but then that's because we're already a little bit more advanced in our comfort and our understanding of technologies like CSS, HTML, JavaScript, you know, and then server technology, DNS, and those kinds of things. We've kind of like built our skill set up in that sort of space. But it's probably why tools like, you know, Squarespace and Studio, you know, Wix Studio and so on, and Webflow are becoming more prevalent in this design era, which is design-led as opposed to, you know, code-led or the sort of fundamental building it side of things.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to grow. I think that's only going to grow because I think more people are being told that they can do what they want, they can build what they want, and these platforms are enabling that. You know, whether you like it or not, I think there is definitely a reason why they are growing, probably at a higher rate than something like WordPress is, or the sort of the traditional build it from scratch kind of tools or CMSs. You know, what do you guys think?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's because they're good at marketing, and you can market, hey, a website's easy to build. You could just do it in 5 minutes, but you know, that's all like just BS marketing. It's not easy to make. Even for us, like if somebody wants some cool, hell, I have a client, they would want to have like a hover animation on a button. I have to like do custom CSS to do that. There's no tool out there that I know of, even on Webflows or anything, that would do something as stupid as like slide in at an angle. Like it seems simple, but we're still not there in 2024 where it's like, hey, you want to have an animation on a button like this? Click this, you know. It's still custom code everywhere, in my opinion. Yeah.
I suppose we've got to ask the question.
Do you know what
No, go on, Jeffrey. Go on.
All right. No, I was just going to say, you know, the more powerful no-code tools coming out, like we have Webflow. I've been keeping a good eye on Framer, dipping my toes in it. I'm really interested because, you know, it has that design aspect where you design like in Figma. But, you know, I started checking out the motion design inside of it, and they have like a built-in GSAP in there. And just because it's no code, you got to know code. So I think a lot of these more advanced tools, I haven't really checked out Wix, the new Wix editor, but it seems like it's also aligned with that where, you know, it's a no-code tool, but you got to know code to use it properly and still, you know, build a proper website like you would see like on awards or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the difference is like anybody can build a website, but can anybody build a good website? You know, and I don't mean good from like it's a good looking website, but there's so much to take into consideration. I mean, you go back 10 years in your careers, and I could imagine that you would build the website. I mean, I know for me, like it was a case of you built the website. That was your job. But now it's like
Yeah.
you build the website, you design the animations, design the graphics, you do the CSS, you do the interaction elements, you do all these different aspects. And it's the same as like if you were a designer years ago, you just designed websites. You know, you designed them, you didn't build them. But now,
Yeah.
as a web designer, you need to know Photoshop or similar. You know, and then it was Flash years ago. So the skill set of a web designer is massive compared to what it was even 10 years ago. I think there's an expectation. That's why you don't have these massive agencies.
Yeah, I still don't think it's very, very rare to even come across a person who is good at both design and development. Because, like in our situation, Barbara, she designs all the websites, makes it look good. She comes to me whenever we need to do, advanced filtering or anything along those lines. But she doesn't want to be bothered by that, and I don't want to be bothered by like keeping up with design trends and understanding a lot of theories and typography. So that's the thing. They're marketing to a person that doesn't really exist. Like there isn't one person that could do everything. You have to have at least a couple people, in my opinion, to be successful at this stuff. Yeah.
If you want to charge real money, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, you get into the sort of like the 10, 20, 30, 40 grand. That's where people's expectations are very different. And I think there's a kind of weird divide there between those kind of people and the people that want to pay $500. I think the $500 ones tend to be more of a pain in the butt than the $10,000 ones.
Always do.
You know, it's kind of like they want their hands in everything, and it's like doesn't matter. It's like get lost. You're paying me for a reason, but they're paying peanuts, and they're going to treat you like a monkey. I suppose it's the easy way to say it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
Hey, have you guys checked out the AI yet inside Wix Studio?
yes,
No, I've heard about it, but yeah.
yeah.
What
And
are
I
your
had a
thoughts on
call
that,
with-
Paul? Yeah.
I had a call with a couple of people from Wix last week, and I'm kind of talking to them because one of the things I've talked about previously is moving outside the WordPress ecosystem to see what other things are out there and how other solutions work in comparison. And normally, I mean, you guys, you've seen AI inside WordPress, and let's be honest about it. For the big part of it, it's gimmick, and that's all it is. It's like it doesn't do cool things, you know. Whereas what I've seen inside there, and this isn't to say it's the be all and end all, but because you've got that benefit of it being a closed architecture, you can then use AI in a more productive fashion. So, for example, one of the things that I've been talking to them about is using AI to actually build the starting point databases for a CMS or, you know, a more database-driven website, getting it to build the database structure, add in data, create the sort of archive page, create the single post template, which all could be edited afterwards. But that can be done in the space of 30 seconds. And it's like, it's there ready for you to start customizing to what you want. If you want a prototype, for example, it's so much quicker to do using that system. And that's one of the first times I've actually looked at something outside WordPress and gone, man, I could see why that would be so beneficial. That's 30 to 50 to an hour's work setting all that up in whatever tool you want to use, unless you're using a blueprint, at which point you still have to create the custom post type, add in the custom meta fields, the taxonomies, all those kinds of things that you do. It's all done. Or it's at least taken to a point of being 80% there, which you can then just add the extra things you want in. And once you get good at prompt engineering, as with all AI, you can probably get it to do 90 to 95% of what you need. So from that point of view, I think there's a lot of good things there. And I don't think we're going to see things like that inside the WordPress world for, well, if ever, and if it is, it's going to be probably quite restrictive, because do you want to give AI with no real security access to your database to start building out database structures and tables and all those kinds of things? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I saw a WP Bakery video came up on my feed this week. I'm like, oh, I got to watch this. Like, it was just made a few days ago. So I'm like, I got to watch this,
wow.
you know? And I watched it. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. And I'm like, let me see their website. I went to their website. They got AI. So now you can get AI in WP Bakery and build your websites. But that's just where we're at. Like, so far, it just seems like, you know, so it just seems like things you could just give a ChatGPT, copy and paste over. You know, the only thing that I've seen so far that was usable has been a reloom, inside of the workflow where it's actually putting things together for you in a way that's usable. But I did have a quick look. I didn't test it out yet, but I did look at it inside Wix Studio. It was the first time that I saw AI in a web building process that showed some possibilities. And I think this is, just starting to scratch the surface of, what we'll be at in 3 years from now. And I think we really need to prepare ourselves for this. And that's the reason why I think there's still room in the page builder space right now, because I think we're at that pivotal mark, where they're going to be changing soon. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think, when you say page builder, I mean, that could be outside of the WordPress ecosystem. So maybe I would say there's more of a future in that possibly. But I think inside of WordPress, I personally don't see much more development because I wrote down, what was it called? SureCart. I haven't used that product too much, but that's a whole e-commerce page builder, built kind of outside of the whole ecosystem. So I think there's potential in something like that because let's be honest, WooCommerce is a disaster in a lot of ways. It's so hard to do anything, So I could see maybe a new page builder like a SureCart that getting some traction for sure.
I think that's the difficulty. I think with WordPress, because it's open source, because it's so plug-in led, should we say? There's so many combinations. I think it's limiting what you can realistically do with AI. I mean, if you take a look at, for example, we'll say Elementor because that's the one that that I'm most familiar with at this point in time. But the AI inside there, one of the key limitations we've talked about, I think, in the last stream was that it doesn't have a history. So it's very limited in that respect. That if you want to tweak things, you've got to go back and redo the same prompt and then add on what you want to do. So it makes it, in my opinion, kind of only half useful. But I also kind of think that AI is such a buzzword at the moment that everything is trying to get AI in there, whether it actually improves the product or the service or whether it just tacks it on for the fact it's we now have AI. It's I don't care. I've got ChatGPT if I want AI. I've got Perplexity if I want AI. I don't need you to give me 3 mediocre designs of the same thing. It's I'd rather use a wireframe. And get something that I can look at it beforehand and go, that's what I'm looking for, and use that wireframe without having to faff with AI that doesn't. Content, fair enough. If you want to use it for content, that's a different thing. But again, I think the lack of history really hampers what you can do effectively with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't come across an AI tool good for design yet. I mean, I don't know if it will ever exist, but it's not there yet. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, with the kind of thing, I mean, design's got to take its inspiration from somewhere, isn't it? In the same way that Midjourney and DALL-E and all those kinds of things. And with what's going on in the States at the moment with the artists that are getting traction against the generative AI when it comes to art, there's a precedent that's going to be set there very, very quickly if that goes the course. And it's getting more and more traction behind it. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with what's going on there with that side of things and the sort of the court proceedings and the legal case that's being sort of brought against those AI platforms. But I think that's going to set a precedent, and that's going to have a big impact upon any design-orientated tool, because Adobe were in hot water saying, you'll get a percent. All the people that have stock imagery on their stock library will have a percentage of whatever the sales things were to do with the AI. And from what I understand, that hasn't come to fruition. People haven't seen any kind of recompense from that side of things. So this is where they've had access and they've used little loopholes to get access to this data to train their models. If that gets pulled back, they're going to have to retrain those models. Otherwise, they're going to get into hot water, even more hot water. And I think that's going to have a massive impact upon AI over the next, let's say 12 to 24 months, however long this kind of legal proceedings take to get anywhere. And that is where I think that's going to change the shape of AI. At the moment, it's like the Wild West. Everybody's just get all the data we can. It doesn't matter who gives the damn when it comes. So just give us the data. But when
they want to do that fast because they're moving faster than the laws can come into effect. So they got to move fast right now. So I think it's going to be even longer too. Yeah. Maybe it might take several years to even get anything going. So take as much data as possible.
But then the problem with that is when it does turn around, and if they do win it, then they've got to suddenly, all that training is going to go out the window, and it's going to have to start again with new training data that they can legally get access to, which is going to be a much smaller pool. I mean, what are your thoughts on? I mean, I'm sure you guys have used Midjourney or DALL-E, or you've ChatGPT to generate images now, which is used in the DALL-E models. For me, it's like I can see there's some uses where it's quite cool, but I don't know about you. But I look at it, you can see straight away it's just AI generated art, and it's just looks like crap.
Yeah.
You know, I work faster creating my own graphics and utilizing UI kits and other things that I purchase in UI 8 and Vada Elements. I just work faster creating graphics that way than fiddling around with prompts. And then when I do get something that looks good, then it's just like, now I got to fix this up for the web. So the images and graphics don't really come out, from what I see, web ready. Now, this whole thing, I just saw Grok like this last week with Flux. Now that's just insane. I don't know what that is going to do. I could basically make real pictures of you. So I could put I could make a WP Tuts website with you talking all that, and nobody would know. And that's where we're starting to get into some scary stuff. I heard somebody talking about, about like a couple years, nobody's going to know what's real and what's not. If they keep that up.
Yeah, that is scary. And again, like I say, I think that we're in that sort of Wild West territory at the moment where we don't really know what's going to happen. You've got look at the deep fakes and all those kinds of things. It is a scary thing. But yeah, I mean, Keith has a very good point here. AI is causing a lot of loss of focus for products like Elementor. I don't need a jack of all trades. I need good tools in my toolbox. And I think you sort of hit the nail on the head. It's like, give us the tools we need to build effective websites. And I think adding things like AI in there, making that such a big thing. And we talked about this in the last stream. It's becoming kind of all-consuming with these tools that how many people are actually asking for them?
The consumers aren't stupid. We're not stupid, and it's a bit insulting, I find, when people just started plugging AI into everything, knowing that, look at, this isn't really going to do much for whatever the tool is. It's just a sales point. It's just trying to jump on the gravy train. That's all it is. And, I laugh at it. Like I laughed when I saw WP Bakery promoting AI in their builder. It's just like, really? Like, really?
I had a funny one the other day. I don't know if you guys gotten the prompts in your Gmail account. So we have like our Gmail, set up through our business. And we got one, was it Gemini's now at the top? It's like, summarize this email. And the email was like literally, it was a client saying, hey, thanks for getting back to me or whatever. It was like literally a one sentence. So I was like, summarize this email with AI. I was like, no, I don't. What the hell is this?
But you're right, Paul. It's like, what are people asking for? What are we asking for from the tools that we use? Are they delivering them? Or are they given things that are more focused on marketing and sales and buzzwords instead of, those things that we really want that's going to help us out? Now, I think a lot of the times the AI being promoted inside of tools, they're for newbies. They're for people brand new. People are just excited, don't really know what's going on in tech and dipping their feet in it, and it looks new and exciting. But for those of us that use these tools on a daily basis as part of our workflows and to help our clients' businesses, like, they know what we're very loud about what we want, I feel. Did we freeze? I think I froze.
No. You're still all there. What do we think about it? I think I know what you're referring to. I get exactly what you're saying. But as I think I posted the other day, is like where you get all these kinds of things pushed. It's fine to have them in there. And like you say, a lot of it might be geared towards those that are not necessarily that comfortable with design or need help or need a sort of like a push in the right direction or just to give some inspiration or ideas. But when they're professional tools, I do still think that they has to have the ability to turn it off. Because as we've already discussed previously, once you put tools like that in there, and this isn't specific to any one tool, we're talking about any tools that puts features in there like this, like AI and stuff like that. When you can have your clients get access to that because you can't lock it down to keep them out of it, that adds a problem to you as a business. But it also undermines your ability to charge good money, because when they're saying, oh, well, I can just click on that and I can get that to design me this new section. Why am I paying you a maintenance fee of $100, $200 a month when I can just use AI to do this? It's like, well, you can use AI to do it, but it won't do a proper job, and you only got to take a look at it. It's like you could be touted as the next best thing and it's amazing. But the results from what I've seen in a lot of use cases is kind of mediocre. And if that's all you're looking for, if mediocre is what you're looking for, then okay, that's fine. Use the AI, don't pay the maintenance charge. But it's the same thing as anything else. Like, there's a big difference between AI and someone that's skilled in design. And if all you want is to put something on the page, then use AI. But not giving us the ability to say, we don't want our customers to see this, I think is a real slap in the face for the agency and for the freelancer, the people that are actually doing this for a living.
I also think it's a lot of like decision fatigue too, because like we've had 2 clients this past month where they built websites their own. I forgot what platforms, and they were just like, I don't have time for this. I don't want to learn it. There's too many things. And then they just hired us to make it. So I think that there's almost like a fatigue where it's like, okay, what do I choose? What template? Do I do the AI button? Do I not do the AI button? It's too much. So I think it's actually a good thing for agencies like us, because we could step in and be like, hey, we'll take care of that, and we'll build it quicker than you could anyways. We could get stuff done in just a couple of days. Because we actually, if you go to our website, we actually just shifted. We're just doing like a monthly fee now for to build websites. We're no longer doing like big lump sums. So we're doing a big shift because I want to try to go after that type of market where it's like a subscription based. So the clients have to host with us. We get that recurring revenue. So yeah, it's a new thing that we're trying, and it's working well. Yeah.
The messaging behind it. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
No, go on, Jeffrey. Go on. It's fine.
I was going to say the messaging behind, adding AI as a feature though could be very misleading. It could be like, oh, click a button, build your website in minutes. And it kind of reminds me of that old Wix commercial that used to infuriate me. That why pay somebody a lot of money? You could build your website in 3 minutes. And I felt like that kind of messaging, it harms the value of our craft, of what we do, of what we spent years investing ourselves into. And when it's sort of like a regurgitation now of that old messaging. Well, use our AI tool and you could build your website in seconds. Now, let's look at that from a perspective of a client that would have paid us $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for a website. And they're like, wait, I could have pressed a button and it could have built it for me. Things like that. And it's just, I don't know. I start to take it personal when my profession gets devalued, because what we do is all about adding value to what we could deliver to our clients. And when big companies come out and, start to devalue it, it's hard not to take it personal.
Yep.
Yeah. I think when you sort of, you've got different kinds of clients out there. You've got people that will always sort of fall for that. Why pay someone $2,000, $10,000, whatever it is, to build a website for you when you can do it for yourself for $20 a month, and everything's templated. But I think you've got the type of clients there that are probably the wrong kind of client to work with as an agency or an individual, freelancer kind of thing, because they want everything to be done as cheap as possible. But one of the other things that is always missing from these, and I think it's the same thing when it comes to AI, is when something goes wrong, and it invariably will go wrong, who do they turn to? And once they realize that there is nobody there at the end of the phone, it's just an AI prompt, they very quickly realize that, okay, I'm paying peanuts and I'm getting, a really mediocre product that I've got to maintain. And it's the same as a car. You could change the oil on your own car. You could change the wheels on your own car. You can do lots of different things. But once you've done it and you're stuck underneath this peeing down with rain, and you're stuck underneath trying to get something done because you need to take the car out, you very quickly realize, I don't want to do this. And I think you'll have the same kind of experience, people will have the same kind of experience. And I do get exactly where it comes from, because if you went back 20 years to when I kind of first set the business that I had, you could charge an awful lot more for a website than you can realistically these days in certain markets. There's always going to be the higher ticket clients, but they're becoming few and far between. And there's a different market to get into. It's a lot harder to get into. And it's kind of a big part of that is because it was de-skilled, as it were, but because there was never a governing body, there's never you had to be qualified to become a web designer. Anybody could set up, become a web designer, and it's still the same now. There's no different there. But there's no barrier to entry then, so anybody can set themselves up. And as we've already discussed, you'll get good people that have a conscience and they want to create a great product and a great service and a great experience for their clients because they want that long-term relationship. And then there's the people that could give a damn and they just want to get $500 out of you, 500 quid out of you, and they just want to move on to the next person. And it's like, you are dead to me now. I don't care about you. My job is done. Let's move on to the next one. It's a sad state of affairs, but I think because there was no governing body to sort of like have standards, even though there's been like different things that have been tried to be set up over the years, different organizations, non-profits and stuff. Without that, it's always going to be considered to be like this low skill, easy to get into, no barrier of entry. But you can set yourself apart by providing amazing service, providing a great product, all those kinds of things. And that's where word of mouth marketing becomes way more advantageous than adverts on Facebook or on YouTube or anything like that, you know. And it's that.
I love that about what we do. I love that. You know, I love the freedom that we have to make something out of nothing. And we have, you know, it's up to each one of us for what we want to build and what do we want to put into it. What direction do we want to go? You know, like I was able to quit my job at the Home Depot, which nothing against the Home Depot, but it broke me. I was able to walk out of there, not know how to use a computer, and dedicate myself to it and build a business out of web design. So I hope that part never changes. I don't want. I personally, I don't even like governing bodies in anything, you know. So I definitely do not want to see that. But we're not going to go there right now. But still, I want to keep freedom in creativity and creative businesses for sure.
The revolution starts here.
Oh man, I'm a rebel, dude. As soon as you start putting rules on me, man, it's just like the rebel in me comes out.
It's probably why you're on YouTube. So yeah.
And why I live in Thailand.
Yeah, there's that as well. There's that as well. All good. It's all good. Okay, so we've kind of talked about the AI side of things. We've kind of talked about page builders and going out the ecosystem. Let's have a quick look if we've got any questions. Any points you guys want to sort of talk about? Because I mean, there's a strong sort of feedback and an affinity to what you were saying, Mark, there, which is how you're moving over to a monthly subscription model with clients as opposed to being that one lump sum and then maybe a maintenance plan. I mean, what was your thought process behind choosing to go that way?
A lot of different things. So this year, I'll be honest, like the new clients just haven't really been rolling in. This year has kind of sucked, 2024. So we decided, I was like, let's just change it up completely. Because we were starting to get, so we had like an e-commerce package. Then we had a regular custom web design one. Then we had one that was kind of like a template based. So I was like, let's just kind of merge everything together. A flat rate. It's like $99 to kind of start. That's like your basic type of website. Then if you need WooCommerce or anything above that, there's a little lump sum to build it, up front. But we're trying to stick at just the $99 a month moving forward because the recurring revenue is what's keeping this business afloat for sure. Like we have a lot of clients, recurring revenue, that's our favorite thing. So, and as you know, I like running the host and the servers and everything. So that's what kept us afloat for sure. And we've also just had a lot of clients who are like, we just need a basic kind of website going. So I was like, all right, we don't need to do all this, advanced custom stuff. Let's just kick out these websites a lot quicker. So we definitely streamlined our process. We can do things a lot faster now. So yeah, we just decided to shift and it's working pretty good. Yeah.
So are you kind of sort of keeping them into like a 12-month contract, or is it,
Yeah, it's billed annually, so we market it as $99 a month, but billed annually. That way, it's kind of like, yeah, it's a good compromise because it's like, hey, you're with us for a year. You're going to see that I offer really good support and everything throughout the year. And 99% of the time, they're just going to renew it because they don't want to think about it. What clients at 13 months or 12 months want to be like, oh, you know what? I'll take my website somewhere else and deal with the hosting and everything. I'm like, all right. Good luck trying to get someone on the phone, at 3 a.m. if something happens,
Yeah, yeah.
But we are very, very selective. I'm sorry, I cut you off. We are very, very selective on who we choose. So it's not like we're going to, because we know that by doing this, we could get some of those lower entry type of people who don't understand the process of making a website. But we've been doing this long enough that we're just going to be like right out of the gate, we're not a good fit for you if we see some red flags or something along those lines. Yeah.
So do you include a maintenance plan in that side of things, or are you like, this is the cost of building it and maintain, keeping it up to date, secure, and so on? Or...
Yeah, that's the whole it's the hosting and the maintenance. So I go in every month, update everything. I'm always keeping an eye on things. So yeah, it's our maintenance. And then of course, we give them like training videos on how to like update the website. So 9 out of 10 times they're going to be able to do it themselves. And then they could always hire us hourly if they have something custom, but yeah, the maintenance is in there. I keep a pretty simple maintenance package because I don't think that's a good idea, in my opinion, to have. I've seen a lot of other businesses do it where they have like 3 different maintenance plans to choose from. And I think the client's just going to choose the cheapest one 99% of the time. Yeah. So we're giving our clients less choices, and it's I think better in a lot of ways because you can start to have too many damn packages and tiers and all of this. It just gets too confusing for them and for us,
Have you put a cap on the number of people that you can service? Is there a limit on what you can do?
Yeah, we haven't hit that yet. We do have a limit to where the server, of course, I have one server, so eventually you're going to run out of space, but we haven't hit that yet. But yeah, I don't think, we're not going to take on like hundreds of clients a month or anything along those lines. We want to keep it lean and just profitable throughout the year. So just recurring revenue is going to help, pay the bills and everything.
So do you include email hosting? Sorry. Just as in, yeah. That's what I was going to say. I was like, no, not enough you value your sanity.
I used to do email, but yeah, anybody that tries to troubleshoot email, it's out of your control. So much of it's out of your control. It's all DNS and ISPs and all this crap that gets in the way. I'm like, a lot of times you don't even know how email works because I'm like, I don't know where the damn thing goes once you send it. I'm like,
yeah, it is a nightmare. Sorry, Jeffrey, you were going to say something before you cut it off.
Oh yeah, no, I was just going to say I think it's a really smart decision and direction that you're going in, Mark. I know that for like the past, so many years, it's, setting a set price and trying to figure out the price. But I've been seeing a lot of businesses, a lot of agencies and freelancers thriving right now by having just packages, set prices, set plans, and then it's more predictable and you could build systems, you could build processes with it. It's something I'm looking to do next year when I restart the agency side, is going to start to experiment with packages. These are our packages. This is how much they cost. Actually show the price on the website. Right now, things have changed. The economy is changing big time ever since COVID. And I really see this business model working great for a lot of people.
Yeah, so what we just did, we just canceled. We were doing, because of all the post-COVID stuff, we were trying to really help small businesses like get websites. So we were doing 12-month payment plans, and let me tell you, that was a good idea in theory. And in some cases, we had clients who they're paying monthly, and now I'm a bill collector, and I'm like, I don't want to be a damn bill collector. I want to make a damn website, So that was kind of, I would say it was a mistake, but I learned that not everybody pays their bills on time. So I have one client right now, every goddamn month, I have to chase him. I'm like, I have to threaten him every month. I have to turn off your website if you don't pay. I'm like, come on, man, what are we doing?
Just pay the money.
That's the worst, man.
Yeah.
You don't use like Stripe or something like for automated payments?
I try to get him on automated. I keep telling him, push this button to do automated. He doesn't do it because he has to opt in for automated. So I learned a lot. I learned that. Yeah. I should have never started the contract or the website until he clicked that button. So I learned. So I'm not doing that anymore. So that's why I'm like, let's lower the price. Let's get them in the door. Because I really just want to get them in the door. And then that's where they're going to see our service. And like I said, most of the time they're not going to leave. Why would they? It's too much work for them to leave. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think it makes it a lot easier if you've been in business for a little while and you've already got some residual income coming in, to be able to swap to that model of being a monthly subscription-based thing or an annual subscription-based thing. Because the transition, or if you start off fresh like that, you don't get much money in the pot to start off with. Whereas if you've got a little bit of something behind you, transitioning from, like you say, the traditional pay me up front to build it to that sort of subscription thing, you get a little bit of leeway there between swapping models and converting from one to the other. Because I know that we looked at doing that when I was in a sort of like agency before. And I think at the time it was probably a little too early because people were sort of used to paying stupid peanuts for things like a Yell.com website, which is like I don't know if you've got it in the States and things like that. Yell is basically like a business directory. You used to have a printed big yellow book, which is a business directory. So the same kind of thing as that. And you had different sort of companies doing the same thing. And most of the time they were fully automated systems and they were just shit. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. There was no sort of like this. But I think people were so stuck in that way of thinking that that's what they thought they would get. So it was a difficult sell to move things over to a different business model. But yeah, if you've got that ability to sort of transition and you've got enough people to kind of come on board, like I say, you've got a limit of where you'd feel comfortable being able to service that number of clients. Well, if you've got that register full, should we say, you know every month what money's coming in and you know exactly how to budget for whatever you want to do next and things. So yes, it's
because we got ourselves into a weird situation. Like I said, we had 3 different web design packages. You could pay upfront, full, 50%, 6-month, 12-month. It was starting to get too goddamn complicated on the back end. I was like, you know what? I want to make my life simpler. As I get older, I'm moving to the simple life. So I was like, just pay us monthly, build annually, move on from there.
Sounds like buying a MacBook.
Yeah.
You know, you start off with like, this is what's going to cost you. And then you go, well, I need that. And, do I want that? And if I go to that processor, and it's like, this was supposed to be easy. It's like, now I've got like too many options.
Yeah, because I'm like, dude, we signed on 2 this past month, and I'm like, they just wanted something simple. They're like, just pay the upfront. We got it done in a few days, and we move on. So whereas normally it would be a much bigger process, you know. But yeah.
Cool. Okay, we're going to switch gears. Unless, Jeffrey, you've got something you want to sort of jump in there to continue that side of things. You good?
Nah, let's see where it goes. Yeah, we're good.
I think you'll like this one, Jeffrey. From have a little conversation offline a couple of days ago. So, what do you think the future looks like for Elementor specifically? This one is.
I saw that. Jeffrey, I was about to ask you, man. I was about to ask you that.
No. I got there first. I put a star on that one. I pinned that one just for you. So these are all yours.
All right.
You just kick us off. Oh, the hat's off.
All right. So,
check out his channel. He does good videos. Check out King
Elementor.
Okay. Check out
I
King
see Elementor being like Yoast. Look, I know I'm probably putting my foot in my mouth right now, but you know, Elementor, they're just big. You know, they're big. They're not going anywhere. You know, I mean, look at Yoast, how big they are. I don't use them, you know, and I know, like, they were good back in the days, but they're still so big, such a big company, you know, and that's why I see, and that's just my guess, you know, right now for Elementor. I think it's going to be around for a while. I think it's still the safest choice for anybody new getting into web design, starting to build websites. But yeah, I don't. How far do you want me to go?
As far as you want. As far as you want. I think what we've got to kind of consider is brand recognition. You know, whether tools are the best tool, not specifically to like say Elementor, but whether tools are the best tool. Like you say, like you referenced Yoast. I think if you had an experience of Yoast back in the day where it used to be, and I haven't used it since, but it's like it would kill your site for being such a resource hog. Then there was the security issues. Then there was like various different problems they had with it, and they all kind of came about in a relatively short space of time. don't get me wrong, they've obviously recovered from that. But I do think that why people say about SEO and Yoast is because the term SEO and Yoast is kind of synonymous with each other in the WordPress world. Doesn't make it the best. You look, there are lots of other great tools out there. And I think that companies do very quickly rest on their laurels because they become synonymous and that name is known for that particular type of service. Like Google with search. We don't say go and search for it, you say go Google for it. You don't say edit a photograph in some software, you say go Photoshop it. Because those brands, those names are synonymous with that particular action. And I think Elementor have put themselves in a position where they're absolutely the first one that comes to mind for most people that are not necessarily in the know, shall we say. They'll say, oh, you've got to build a website? If you're using WordPress, Elementor makes it easy. And I think that's a big part of what's made it so prevalent. And people like us that have created tons and tons and tons of content on it have helped that exponentially, especially when they were, before Pro came out and they were a relatively small thing. If you go back and take a look at like your videos from Elementor 1.0, and then like Elementor Pro 1.0, they're very, very different to what you see these days. For better, for worse, whatever you kind of think. Yeah. But this is what's made it so massively prevalent. And I think the same with WordPress. It's why WordPress is so prevalent. It's not just because let's be honest, it's not the best platform out there by any stretch of the imagination. There's lots of limitations and lots of things that make it more difficult for people that are not comfortable, like we said right back at the beginning of the stream, that are not comfortable with understanding things about hosting or dealing with domains and DNS and all that kind of stuff. You do need to have some knowledge of that, even if it's only on a basic level. But I think that's where Elementor have absolutely benefited, is because of, and like I say, and WordPress and things, because of people like us that have created so much content and built, like parts of your business around teaching people that.
Well, I still believe that Elementor is the best platform for training someone on how to use it. So when we make our websites, we train our customers how to use it. We create custom training videos for them. There is no other platform out there, whether it be inside WordPress or outside, that I would feel comfortable training someone on how to use it. It's still, in my opinion, the best. Will it always be the best? Probably not. Like there'll be things that might come out, or that's when I'll be ready to retire and I don't have to worry about this crap anymore. But that's my opinion. Is there's no way I'm gonna like create a training video on how to use FSE or even Bricks. I love Bricks. Bricks is a great platform, but it's not for us, not for our clients. Like I'll use it for personal projects, but yeah, it's still the best one out there. And I even like with a Webflow, like I was like, all right, could I go this direction and like train custom? It's still too complicated for people. It's not there yet. Yeah. So they have a good market. So that's, they kill that market. There's no one else out there, in my opinion.
Maybe not to go that direction.
Yeah.
No, go on, Jeffrey.
And going back to like the synonymous, like Elementor is just synonymous with Page Builder. You hear Page Builder, you're going to think of Elementor. Going back to Yoast can't come close to SEO Press Pro. Or just even the free version. Can't even come, not even a micro close to how good SEO Press is. But it's still got the most installs. It's still the first thing that comes up in the searches for the plugins. And it's still going to be the first go-to that most people who are inexperienced with WordPress or, don't have the knowledge that we have, will go to. So, yeah, I don't see it going anywhere. Now, I'm only concerned with the future of Elementor, and this is why I put on the hat, just to show, like, I'm not trying to throw shade
There's
and
still
like
some
be
love
a hater
there.
in any way, but there is. I mean, but it's like this happened to me with Apple a few years ago. So I was always a big Apple fan. Everything Apple. I mean, if you look around, it's all Apple. I'm on a Mac Studio display, Mac Studio. Everything's Apple. And so I was always a big fan. I'm the type of person that upgrades my phone every single year. But then that year came when they took out the charger and they lied to us saying that it was for the environment. Well, we knew this was a pure greed move. This was a move that was going to make them ridiculous amounts of money that they did not give back to us. And when that happened, that was the last time I would ever be a fanboy to anybody. Like, and what I mean by that is like, well, like that brand loyalty, where you're so loyal to a brand that no matter what they do, you accept it and you defend their bad actions and decisions. So I made that decision back then, and which is why I could look at Elementor and some of the decisions they're making now and say I don't like it. I'm not happy with some of the things that they've done. And as far as their future, like, they're going to be around, but the thing that I'm concerned with and worried about is, will they be around for us? Those of us who use tools professionally, or are they going to be a Yoast where they only focus on people who don't know any better? Because a lot of the decisions, I mean, we could talk about it. I don't care. I'm open to talk about it because I think it's important to talk about it. Because one thing Elementor used to do really good in the past was listen to their people. They used to listen very well. And they used to be very reactive to what we said. But that has been changing these last year or two since, I think a lot of it has to do with business reasons.
Yeah, you are right. There's there's been an absolute shift in regards to how you felt that you could help shape. The community could say, well, this is what we want, and there would be some semblance of listening to it and take it on board. Whereas now you kind of feel like, we're listening. We're not going to listen to you, but we'll tell you we're listening, and we are going to do what we want. And I think if you look at the direction that they're going in as a business, you can very easily see that they're trying to be that all-in-one platform, that WordPress version of Wix or Squarespace or one of those things where everything you need as a beginner is there for you. Your image optimization, AI if you want it, your hosting, your page builder, all those things are there. I think the fundamental flaw in the plan, from my point of view at this point in time, is building it on top of WordPress, because you are building in someone else's garden. Whereas if you look at something like, and I'm not saying this is a better platform or anything else, but you look at Brizy, where they did Brizy Cloud, they don't build it on WordPress. It's proprietary. So at least they've got full control over it. So if WordPress tomorrow changed their licensing or went away, whatever happened, they still have Brizy Cloud. Whereas all those people that build on top of Elementor hosting, if for whatever reason WordPress changed its whole direction tomorrow and said, right, we're pulling all support for any page builders, that becomes a massive problem for millions of people. And I think this is one of those areas where you can see the direction they're going in. And I know they say that they're going to be like, Elementor is going to be, it's a WordPress plugin first and foremost. But it does feel like it's going to that sort of that walled garden ecosystem, and that's kind of what they would like at the end of the tunnel is like an Apple version of a page builder for WordPress. Is that it's all contained in there. Once you're in there, you never leave.
Yeah. Well, that's
yeah,
what,
and that's. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just gonna say, well, that's what they're trying to do with like FSE, So, all right, what are your guys' opinion on this? I think it's kind of weird why some people don't call Gutenberg or FSC a page builder. It's Matt Mullenweg's page builder. He wanted to build a page builder in 2017. It's his page builder. I don't understand why there's like this push that it's not a page builder. Is that something do you guys agree with, or am I totally out there?
All semantics. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me either way. It's just semantics.
Yeah.
If you can build templates and you can put content in them, surely by being able to build templates for pages and posts and headers and footers and all those kind of things, doesn't that by its very nature make it a page builder? You are technically building the page out of pieces. That's
but
no
they never call themselves a page builder though, which is weird. It's kind of like an Apple thing. Like they don't say AI. It's what does Apple call their AI? I forget. They have a different marketing term for it.
Apple
Intelligence. Apple Intelligence.
Yeah, there you go. It's just like that. Yeah.
But Apple are the masters of marketing.
Yep.
Elementor is good at it as well. And look at I want to see their success. I've always wanted to see their success. I just want to. I don't want them to leave us behind. I secretly hope that they are creating a new version for the future, for like either like pros, people who want to do better, like what Divi has done. Divi realized they needed to recreate it. You know, I hope that they pull Lewis on us and give us like a breakdance version, you know, of Elementor. I hope they do that. You know, yeah, but I don't know. Maybe Nicholas Zane could let us know.
Yeah,
What's
Nicholas,
up, Nicholas?
he's in there.
What are they doing, dude?
Yeah,
And see, look at man, like
he said that they're going to do
respect.
advanced users in here. So if that's true, Nicholas, that would be really cool. Yeah, it's up a little bit.
That's what we need. Yeah.
But what we have is all I can say is be patient. I've heard that so many times to do with Elementor. So we'll see. I don't know how much patience we need to have. But the one thing I always said, though, I said this years and years ago, is I wish Elementor had been developed in a modular fashion. As in, there was Elementor Core. And then it's like, if you wanted a CMS side of things, you could install the CMS module into it. Or if you wanted the sort of WooCommerce aspect, you could install the WooCommerce aspect into it. But if you didn't want those things, you just literally had core Elementor. Do you know what I mean? And I think that would have been an interesting way. Because I don't think any that I can think of anyway. Well, I tell you, like GreenShift does it. GreenShift is a good example of how that's done. GreenShift has the core builder. And then if you want the animation and the ACF type of things, the dynamic data, you install that into it. You want whatever the other features are. There's like 3 different packages in it, 2 or 3 different packages. It would have been a good way of doing it, because then you could have, like you say, for your simpler clients, you have a streamlined version that doesn't have any of the extraneous code and features that you're never going to use. But, you know, it's all part of the pro plan then. So that's the way I would have liked to have seen Elementor go. But to go back to Divi, from my understanding with this is, even though they've gone back and refactored all the code, they still haven't addressed a lot of the issues that are there with things like accessibility and stuff like that are already inherent in Divi itself. So the only benefit is you're going to get potentially cleaner code, but you're not going to get a better feature set. Which, if that is the case, that's a massive miss. You know, you've gone back, you've taken like 2 years out of your business. You've stopped development on new features in version 4 for version 5, and you go, right, what we're going to basically do is just rebuild what you already have, all those issues, we're going to leave them there.
I played around with the latest demo. It is fast. The new Divi is very, very fast, because a long time ago, we switched from Divi back in 2017 for Elementor, but it's super fast, but it's a whole new interface. So I literally have to learn a whole new program. And I'm like, if I'm going to dedicate time to learn a new program, I'm going to learn something completely different, like Motion or something along those lines, Framer. I'll do something completely different. I don't want to just have another page builder, because I feel like I got the 2, I got my bricks and I got my Elementor. I'm good. I don't need to learn any more crap. I'll go back into...
What about breakdance?
Oh, boy.
Now, you like breakdance, don't you, Jeffrey?
I do. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, I think
I've never used it. Yeah,
a fantastic tool. Oh man, it's amazing. It's a great tool.
I think that's part of the frustration about it. It is a good tool, but we all know how people feel about the company behind it,
leadership,
and what happened. Yeah. You know, whether you agree with that or not, but it does matter.
Yeah, I'm empathetic, you know, in a way, because I know, like, I'm a designer, I'm a creative. I started off like coding. I didn't know anything about business, and I made tons of mistakes with my agency. Tons, you know, just like all kinds of mistakes. The thing is learning from those mistakes. So I'm a bit empathetic when we got like people who are developers start businesses. And, you know, they're going to make mistakes. You know, if they didn't go to business school, they don't have the right, you know, guidance to, like, you know, run their company, which you can see the big difference between that and Elementor. You know, the people behind Elementor, they know business, you know, so they've done so many things right. They might make some mistakes, but those mistakes are not going to cost them, like, to destroy, and, you know, to harm their reputation. So
you learn from them too, yeah. Yeah,
and I've noticed, like, Lewis, I've seen that in him. I've seen it in him. I feel like he has learned a lot, because I've seen a change in growth within him and within breakdance, which is the reason why, you know, I'm like, I want to give it a go. But I also wonder, what do you think? Do you think if, you know, breakdance being solid, if it didn't have such a bad launch, that there would be more of a competition to Elementor right now?
I think a lot of people are jumping ship to it because it's kind of like that halfway house between Elementor and Bricks. And I think that's exactly what Lewis wanted. He wanted to be a competitor. Will he strip away enough to make it a big dent in Elementor? I don't think so. But it doesn't need to be a successful product. You know, I would say, like, if you take Bricks as an example, I don't think they even want to become anywhere near as big as something like Elementor. And I think probably most page builders don't have that mindset of being, let's be as big. They want to just cut out a slice that they're happy with and create a product that they've got an absolutely fanatical market that love it. You know, that's what you had with Oxygen originally. That's what you have with Bricks. That's what you've got with Breakdance. You've got those people that are absolute fans of it, and they won't hear anything against anything else, which, you know, we're not going to get into that aspect of it. But I you know, it is good to have that competition out there. And like you say, it is good to have a product like Breakdance out there that is doing what it wants to do. It set its market out. It set its sort of, I mean, Lewis did put his sort of flag in the sand and say, this is what we're doing. We want to be taking people away from Elementor. We want to compete with that, not the Oxygen route, which was the more developer-centric, which is a much smaller market, as we know. And he's chipping away. You know, they are whatever your thoughts are on the product, the business, anything else like that, they're chipping away, and they're doing certain things in a way that really resonates with a lot of people out there. And people that are frustrated with the likes of Elementor are moving over to that. In what numbers, I don't know. I have no idea what kind of install base you've got, because it is a paid product, so it makes it more difficult to find out. But it is good to have that healthy competition there, because we benefit from it. At the end of the day, we are the ones that benefit from it, and that's what it should be. You know, the market should benefit from having choices.
Now, Beaver Builder just raised their prices. They just put out new price plans. What are you guys' thoughts on pricing in today's, you know, whether it's a page builder or a plugin? What do you think about it?
Mark, I got to use it.
I don't know. So in general, I personally like the life-term deals, but then if you need additional support in the future, you pay for that. That's the model I actually prefer. Like I think Slider Revolution does that. So you pay the lifetime, you know, you get your one website license, 10, whatever. If you need support, you pay for that. That's the license I like. I know I do a subscription based on websites, but I don't know. It's either, I don't know. That's such a hard thing to think about. But I personally think that giving the developer a lump sum up front, a large amount too. Like I like CrocoBlock. I got all the CrocoBlock stuff, one-time sweep. They do have free support, but I would still use them if I had to pay for 30 day or like 6 month support or something. I would still support that company. That's me. I don't know about you guys.
I think the ticket system is a solid way of doing it. We've talked about it, or I've talked about it in the past, that especially with free products. But I know what Jeffrey's kind of referring to here is like we've got this sort of disparity between pricing structures. You get some products that are released and you kind of think, how is it this good for this little money? Or the flip side is, how is it this shite for so much money? But there is this disparity, and it's like the question you kind of have to ask is, have we been kind of like conditioned to think that products like plugins and things in general are not worth that much money? And I'm not talking about page builders. I think we're talking about, you know, plugins like forms plugins and SEO plugins and things like that. And when you kind of compare a model like, for example, SEO Press. I mean, I'm an SEO Press Pro user. I have been for like 5 years. Jeffrey, I know you are. Mark, I don't know if you use it. But
no, not really.
their pricing model, I mean, they were $39 up until like about a year, 18 months ago.
Yeah.
$39 for unlimited sites per year, which is, then you
Insane.
compare that to some of the other ones. And it's like, my God, that's good value. And even when they moved up in pricing structure, if you didn't lapse from that $39, that's what you pay. That's what I pay every year. And Jeffrey, I'm assuming you're probably the same, is that you kind of, you've got that legacy pricing that you pay for. But even now, was it something like $99 per year for unlimited sites or something?
Yeah. Well, you know, what do you guys think about the pricing structure where you pay for major upgrades? You know, almost like an operating system, like with Windows back in the day. I'm down with that model too. So Elementor, 4 comes out, that would be a set price until 5. Like I'm down with that model too. Like I'm not opposed to that.
It depends.
It comes to take the piss. Yeah.
You don't like it?
Yeah, it depends. It depends, because I kind of feel like if I'm paying every year for something, that's covering the upgrades.
The development.
You know, that's You know, like it rubbed me the wrong way when WP Rocket did it. You know, as a long-term user of WP Rocket, they raised it, but then also I got all butthurt over it, and like, you know, I was like, dude, this ain't right. Like I've been grandfathered in for a while. I'm not paying like $29. I was paying like $100 or something. But then I just kept getting the same copy and pasted response to everyone. And then when I was at a WordCamp and I talked to somebody over there, they literally said the same copy and paste response that I got, you know, and I was just like, okay, I'm done. You know, I'm done. So it could lose goodwill, I feel, if you raise prices on somebody who's paying subscriptions. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from with that. I don't know with the pricing side of things, to sort of use a slightly different approach to it. I mean, I use Affinity suite of products. I mean, Jeffrey, I know you do as well. And they are the same. When they bring out a new version, you pay again for that new version. So you like version 1, you pay for that, and then you just paid for it, and you've got that for the lifespan of version 1, no matter what, 1.1, 1.5, 1.9, whatever it is. But when 2 comes out, then you pay. Often, you get a discounted rate. And I have no problem with that as long as the company doesn't take the mick. Because you get some companies who will do it every single year. And it's like, you kind of think, well, what's the point? It's like, I may as well just pay an annual subscription. Don't say I've got this for the lifespan. But like when you consider something like Affinity, I mean, Affinity 1 was out for, was it something like 7 years before Affinity 2 was released? So you had it for the entire time of that. You know, for what was peanuts, I think it was like £59 or probably like $59, $69. Great value. You know, you got your money's worth out of that first year alone. So it's one of those things that I think you'll get companies that will be supportive of their user base and other ones that will take the piss out of the user base, where they'll just go, oh, okay, well, every 6 months, this version 2 now, we released one piddly little update to it, but we're going to call this version 2, and now you're going to pay for it again. And it'll be a short-term win, but as we've already said, once you're kind of using something like an SEO plugin, for example, it's very difficult to strip an SEO plugin completely out of your website to put a new one in. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you just disable it and it's like, okay, we now put another one in. It's like there's farther reaching implications to that. It's messing with the htaccess files and all those kinds of things. You'd really have to kind of like look at how that business model would work with whatever kind of product it is, because the last thing you want is to be kind of stuck in something and you can't get out of it, because it just means that you can't take that out of WordPress very easily without messing around with database entries and cleaning your database and multiple files and God knows what.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm totally okay with that. I bought Affinity again. I was okay. ScreenFlow, the same thing. You know, every couple of years they got a new one you pay. That part is okay, but when you're on a subscription and it's saying you're paying a subscription to get updates and support, and then all of a sudden one of those updates was a big one, so we got to charge you more. Like, just got to be careful with the goodwill. But that usually comes from either bigger companies, because they're so big they could just get away with it, or from inexperienced developers who just, you know, they're developers. They don't have the business sense yet. And when it comes to pricing for plugins, I feel a lot of them are underpriced. I mean, if they deliver and offer the value, I'm more than happy to pay and support. I don't know, like, do you guys think, is there a way for plugin developers that get supported? Like, how do they get some? Because I know when I started my agency, I had to hire business coaches. I had to join paid business groups to learn. I had to really invest in the business side. How about for plugin developers? I always wondered about that.
I think they definitely benefit from it. You know, business isn't something that happens overnight. Business is something you have to learn. And like I say, to use the example of Lewis, you said from breakdance and that, if he's learned from those mistakes, then there's a benefit coming out of it. You know, yes, like Mark says, we make mistakes. Sometimes you make mistakes. You've got to learn from them. You know, some people will forgive, some people won't. It's the nature of the beast. You know, if you make mistakes in open, then you're going to have a problem. But I do agree with you. Yeah, it would be useful if you had some kind of way for those developers to learn some business things. But then that's down to them. You know, in the same way that you sought business help and business advice, in the same way that anybody else would do that, just because you're a developer doesn't mean to say there should be some kind of special thing there for you. If you want to learn about business, you either learn the hard way or you seek advice, whether that's online advice, whether you get involved in some kind of group, the support group kind of thing, whatever it is, mentorship, peers, things like that. That's down to you. You've got to ask yourself, are those developers that are not necessarily doing a good job at marketing and promoting themselves and their product, are they interested in doing that? Is that something they've even looked into? I think that's probably down to them to seek out that help, advice, and support.
Yeah. All right, so everybody building plugins, you hear this, right? Like, go learn, man. Don't just price things because you think of it. Read some books. Yeah.
But also do market research. I'm sure all of us. Mark, where you've swapped over to a different sort of pricing model, you've gone and done some research before. You haven't just, whether that's just research inside your own business, you haven't just gone, today let's try this. We just throw that one out the window and try this one and see what the hell happens. You research, you make informed decisions as much as you can. You look into it. You look at what the market will sustain. You look at what's working for some businesses and what's not for others.
Yeah, because I saw that clients were, they were ready to pay a monthly fee, to the Wixes and the Squarespaces. So I was like, why aren't they just paying us? Like, change the perspective and be like, just pay us the monthly. And, it might be a little bit more, but you're actually going to get a real website and real service and a real product and everything. So, yeah, that was an easy shift for us. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But your research, whether you consciously did it or not, was just looking at what the market actually resonates with now. And then you make a decision from that. It's important, but like I say, that's probably the difference maybe that separates some people that have some kind of business, acumen, business, even the most basic.
I think it's one thing that we do is I would say almost every 6 months or so, we kind of just sit and we just talk about what's going on, what's not going on, and then we kind of make decisions from there. So we're changing a couple of times a year. We kind of make some big swings. Some stuff doesn't work, some stuff does, but that's part of running the business for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to do one final topic, and then we'll wrap things up for today, because I'm conscious that Jeffy's going to fall asleep now. The tea's running out. Right.
I don't know if you can see him. He's already knocked out.
Oh, there he is.
He's got the best seat in the house.
He's the one. I'm okay. I could go. Yeah.
Right. I've got my thoughts on this one. Plugins are hacked, increasing every month. I don't think that's true. I think the problem is that because you've got bounties now from places like PatchStack and stuff like that are giving a bounty out for people finding these issues with plugins and themes and so on, that's making it more prevalent because there's now an incentive to find those insecurities, which is a good thing for people like us, because it means that they get found sooner rather than later, and they could be sat there dormant for years. Whereas once you've got this bounty out there and people are actively looking for them, they can report them, get their money for doing it, and then ultimately we win, because if you've got a good company, they'll patch that problem sooner rather than later. Not all, but good ones should. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think if you got your stuff set up right, you're on top of it, managing your site, you know how to manage and maintain it, shouldn't be in fear over it. I don't think it's that big of a, I don't see it as a big problem. Yeah. It's not one in my life. I don't have that problem. I haven't had that with security. Things have happened. I've had a few sites hacked in the last 8 years of building websites, but I've always had something in place to fix it right away, to catch it right away. And it's a very rare situation. And this is why it's just important to only keep plugins that are active. As long as it's an active developer behind the plugin, you're good to go. It's inactive ones you got to watch out for.
Yeah.
And choosing good plugin companies.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, don't install like little ones that were just made or not in the repository at least. But yeah, one thing I would definitely add to is make sure that if you're doing like an e-commerce website, really be on top of those, because that's when financial transactions are taking place. So, because I think, what was it? There was one a couple months ago, WooCommerce. It probably was almost a year ago, where admins were getting added to the website, and like our websites are so secure, but yet that one got through. I forgot what it was. I don't know if it was Elementor and WooCommerce had an issue together. yeah, it happened, but I was on top of it. Like I deleted that, but yeah. So I would say e-commerce, stay on top of those for sure. I prioritize the e-commerce over our static websites for sure.
Yeah, for sure. The reason I think that this sort of popped up is GetWP got, well, one of the first I've ever seen a severity of 100 for their recent insecurities.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't know
I
if you
saw
saw
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because someone sort of mentioned that bricks got hacked. I think people need to sort of realize the difference between something got hacked and there's a vulnerability in a plugin. They're two totally different things. Yes, bricks did have a vulnerability, but then pretty much every plugin out there either has had or will have a vulnerability at some point that gets found. So it's not about the vulnerability itself, it's how the company behind it handles that. And the one thing that you can say about a lot of good companies is they handle it openly, they inform their users, and they make sure that things are in place as fast as possible. The ones that don't are the ones that sit on it, they don't tell their user base, and they just, in the background, try to deal with it. And then they don't, because they don't inform their users. You get users that don't update, and then that becomes a much, much, much bigger issue. Like I said, the way Bricks handled it, nobody wants to have any kind of vulnerability in their tools, but they handled it in the right way. They were clear, they were open about it. They worked with PatchStack, I think it was, to deal with that side of things. Then you look at some other companies, and they don't. They patch things without you knowing about it, or they just don't say anything in public, or they don't inform their user base, and that's when the fan gets covered in SHIT. So.
Yeah. And then also when the vulnerability comes out, and you see, there's been a few where, like, in a couple of days, a bunch of sites get hacked. Well, the vulnerability has been around for a while. It isn't until it's like published, like, hey, we found a vulnerability. Here it is. And just like the information on this is how to hack it goes out. So that's why you got that short window when a lot of people, when the hacks start to happen.
Yeah. People then create bots that they find the vulnerabilities. Yeah. That's why. Yeah.
But I think this is good. One of the good reasons where you've got this sort of the bounty is that the bounty is by companies like PatchStack, which give the developers a period of time before they make any information public. So that should mean that when the public information is out there, the developers have already created the patch, rolled the patch out, informed their user base, and that vulnerability has been dealt with. You only got to look at WordPress itself. Every time they release a new update, with some security updates and things like that, they also outline what the security, or they used to at least, outline what security issues they were. So it means that if people were outdated, it would be a lot easier to find out what they were. This is why I always recommend a service like PatchStack or something like that, because it handles a lot of this for you without you even having to worry. And if there's no patch available, this isn't a sales pitch, but if there's no patch available, they will create a virtual patch and apply it to that software, which means that you have peace of mind in a period of time where that's being handled, hopefully, by the developers, and the vulnerability is kind of being locked down. There's firewall rules in place and things like that. So there's ways in which you can handle it, but it's important to be aware of what can happen.
Man, I missed that AppSumo deal. What I could do to see if I could predict the future, I would have stocked up on those goats.
PatchStack were on there, were they? Were they on AppSumo?
I think they were on AppSumo.
Man, I wish I'd known about that.
I think so. I think so. But it's also kind of late right now, so I believe they were. Let me look that up. Let me fact check.
Yeah, let's do a fact check. We're just sort of selling misinformation. Okay, well, if you've enjoyed this live stream, be sure to hit that thumbs up, because I see we've got over 100 people in here and we've got 46 likes. So give us a thumbs up, because it helps the YouTube algorithm know that you enjoy this kind of content. But while Jeffrey is fact checking that information to see if he's hallucinating on some normal mushrooms, Mark. Do you want to just round out things off by saying how people can get in touch with you, how they can find out about you for more information, and then we'll start to wrap the stream up.
Yeah. You go to our website, it's wikidesign.com. Or you could also just search YouTube Wiki Design. I have a whole bunch of tutorials on there. I kind of create similar tutorials to what Paul does, like, dynamic content type of stuff, Crockle Block. So I'm always creating new content. And I also do 3D animation stuff too. So I touch that world too. It's a whole other world I love, and I try to integrate it sometimes, but yeah.
Good man. Jeffrey, have we fact checked it? Was it true?
I couldn't find it. So I don't know. Let me take that back. All right, I take it back. And this is chaga mushroom. All right, nothing funny.
Yeah.
It's for health and medicinal purposes. Oh wait, Andrew is okay. April 2023. Patch Stack was on AppSumo. I think. Dang, Andrew, I thought you had my back, man.
Maybe I'm just drinking the same tea.
Hey, it was really great talking with you guys. Definitely look forward to the next one.
Yeah, man. So if people want to find out about you, Jeffrey, how can they find out and get a bit more information about what you do?
Oh, well, there are links inside the description that'll take you to the channel. Just look for Lightbox Studio. Yeah, that's it. Just go to the description. Hopefully you find me. But it's easy. Lightbox LYT. Yeah, keep it easy. You know, not too many options. I could give you 10 different options right now, but we'll stick with the one.
Awesome. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure spending the afternoon with you guys, and I'm pretty sure we'll be doing this again in a month's time. Different topic, maybe a different place. You never know. But we'll be doing it again in a month's time. So thanks, guys, for being part of this. Thanks, everybody, for joining in today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking, answering some of your questions, and just listening to what you guys are saying in the chat. I'll see you all again in a couple of weeks' time. And, take care. Look after yourselves. We'll see you all soon. Take care.
See ya.
Cheers.